these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends. We are some hippies, these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends.
Welcome back to the Professional Hippies, new and improved, baby. Glenn, how you doing, buddy?
Yo, I am so incredibly excited to be here. I have been the biggest fan of you guys for so long. I've watched like all of your episodes. I even see like the visual ones. Like I watch every single one visually. I've watched them all several times. They're amazing. I've even made it's kind of embarrassing, but like fan edits. Like I've made a ton of like fan edits about you guys. And like I don't know. Some of them are like kind of funny, kind of good. So I'm not just kind of like like starstruck. Like I'm actually here.
Hey, so if you're listening to us, we have the number one fan in the house right now, Glenn. Superstar amongst many, MVP amongst us. And if you're not watching us, check it out. You can actually watch this episode on Spotify. If you're on Spotify right now, you can go to it and it'll be live. But if you're not on Spotify, hey, that's totally cool. Feel free to drop us a review, a like, subscribe if this is what you're into. We're the Professional Hippies. We like to bridge the gap between the hippie woo-woo and the mainstream media, give you a little bit of professionalism, but also kind of digging into the meaty middle. So, Glenn, we're extremely privileged to have you as part of our family. All jokes aside, he's not just our number one fan. He's also our editor and content creator. So I'm so glad you could be with us today, brother.
Yo, I'm so excited to be here. Like, all the other jokes aside, I was actually really surprised that, like, I finally get to be on here. I think, when did we start working with each other? In, like, September, October?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And, like, just, like, seeing, like, the evolution of the podcast, like, all the amazing guests that you've brought on. Like, I don't know, it's been, like, an adventure. I feel like I've been, like, on the journey with you, you know?
Yeah,
Really, like,
I mean that's part of what we're going to get into is kind of like that creative journey, not just with us, but also yourself. I mean, for anyone listening, Glenn, we'll have you plug your stuff later, man. But like that was one of the things that really kind of turned us on to you was the fact that like you walk the walk. It's not just about helping us, and we've had our own journey of just figuring this out, right, Dylan? It's been of a journey, man. Just kind of getting into sharing our thoughts, our perspectives, and really trying to be as like refreshing and as authentic as possible. When we have guests on, our goal is to bring out kind of a lighter side in people, especially people that have a platform themselves.
We
feel like a lot
we
of times
provide
we
a
don't
lot
get
of
a chance
great
to
examples.
drop
I
the
feel like
curtain, have a fireside chat, something that's a little bit more chill, not just so like interview bullet point. And what's cool about having you a part of our journey is we're developing, but at the same time, hey man, you're developing yourself.
Absolutely. I have a lot more that I can put on my resume as a freelancer because of you guys. I can basically at this point, I can legally say that I fixed like every technical issue anyone could possibly come across. Yeah, a lot of the experience. It's hands-on, on the job, on site.
It's like that hellish, internship process, right? Where you're just like, no, yeah, believe me, I have prevented a ship from sinking single-handedly. So
Yeah, like you know that movie, the Transformers 2. There's a reason it was the best movie out of all of them. That was because of me. That was directly because of me. You didn't see it. You didn't see how horrible it was before.
right, yeah, no, that was exactly what I was gonna say. So, man, hey, we're glad to have you a part of this. And I think some of the things that we want to cover in today's episode is a bit of what a content creator's journey looks like, right? What goes into it. And to hear like a little bit of your backstory, not to just totally frame the spotlight around you, but for any of the listeners that don't have an opportunity to really know who you are, or this is the first time they're being exposed to you, because we talk about you all the time for sure, right? But, if you had to give a short snippet about like who you are, your background, or how this all came to be, run it down.
Shoot. Okay, so one, I would like to start off with, I am a fraud. I'm a faker. I got here completely on accident. There's no reason why I should be here. And it is kind of accidental. I guess I'll focus mainly on social media for like right here, right now. And then if we want, we can expand to like further life stuff a little bit later. But I I guess I started like doing social media things like editing and that sort of stuff probably around like 2017. It started with like YouTube, as everyone does. I feel like basically everyone around my age, even a little bit like older and younger, can relate to at some time they want to like be a YouTuber or like do something like that. I feel like it's kind of like a pretty universal feeling with like people around our age now, which is, I mean, it's an interesting trend. I will agree with that. Um, I never really got any like major sort of traction anywhere until unfortunately like TikTok, summer of 2019. It's a little bit embarrassing, but I had a couple of videos go viral like at the end of the summer, and that brought me up to like sort of creator-ish status. I was still a very small creator, but I
Nice.
guess for the time and for the platform, it was impressive. And then like in late December of like 2019, that's when like it actually shot off. I went from like someone who was just like making content on the internet to someone who was actually like making money from the content, and it's just like continued growing from there. I'm still here, baby. My 3 year anniversary, 3 year anniversary, like just happened like last week. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm still going. I'm not going anywhere. I'm only getting better.
Yeah, so something interesting, like off the bat, that when we bring up TikTok, I think TikTok is still going through that maturation process of people not viewing it as esteemed as something like YouTube or Instagram,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so speak to that. Like, why do you feel like it has that connotation even for yourself?
Okay, so it has that connotation for a lot of reasons, and part of the reason I feel that way is just because I am also influenced by other influencers. I remember, this is diving into internet history. So TikTok was obviously a platform that existed before it was called Musically. I remember I was on Musically, like when it was Musically, and then it was bought by China and was turned to TikTok in like what, late 2017, early 2018, I believe was when that happened. It was a very awkward transitional period. Anyways, so the people who stayed on Musically and were there throughout the transition were mostly cosplayers. And cosplayers get a lot of shit just because they are very overly animated. They're mostly actors, they're playing characters, it's dramatic, it's very cringy or silly to watch. And YouTube scooped that up right away. And basically, there was not a YouTuber on the platform that didn't make at least one video reacting to the world's cringiest TikToks or why we'll never download TikTok or anything like that. And that mindset kind of prevailed. And it just has
Sounds like a
stuck
high
around
level
even
business person
now.
talking shit about the
Um,
competition,
People
or
don't
like
take TikTok
energy
as
people talking
seriously
shit
just
about
because
oil,
when
or
TikTok was
oil
first
people
announced, it
talking
was
shit
like
about
big
energy
news,
people. Like
hype,
that's
all of
never going to
that.
work. You should
It
stick with
was
us.
also followed with a bunch of YouTubers saying how shitty the content was, or how like low quality everything was, or how cringy everything was, and that like will just always stick with it. And so I make a joke about like, oh, it's embarrassing that's on TikTok, but that's just because I'm allowed to laugh at myself. I can accept where I came from. Yeah, it's.
I totally
I mean, I
agree.
think it's.
Like when I hear that, I mean, you're literally calling the kettle black. It's like, here's the deal. One of the things that I mean, I'd push back, that TikTok's going to always have that connotation because whatever iteration of platform there is, like Mr. Beast talks about this pretty frequently. The fact that when he wanted to be a YouTuber, there were like, that wasn't really a thing to be a full time
Yeah,
creator. And so, like, as these platforms mature, more eyeballs go to them. I think advertisers are the main way of people getting credit, esteem, altitude in any kind of industry.
definitely,
And TikTok is right there. I mean, the amount of
definitely.
organic eyeballs that come to TikTok, like, I mean, dude, in this past week alone, I was traveling and, like, even on time off, I was consuming a ton of TikTok. And so,
Hmm.
if you're consuming a ton of content, there's a reason for it, right? Regardless of algorithm or whatever, it's holding your attention. And where there's attention, there's influence. And so take it with a grain of salt, right? Like whatever platform it is that you're growing, but like it doesn't matter. TikTok used to be one thing, but now it's coming kind of full steam ahead and is a mainstay in culture.
Yeah, I especially after some of the people who have gotten like really huge off of TikTok. Like, it's hard. Like, they are culturally, again, for the younger generation, I'm sure older people probably don't know who they are, but they are influencing like the future as they should. I mean, that's their job, they're influencers. But like, honestly, if you are still arguing that TikTok isn't like important, like even just from like a entertainment side, not even from a necessarily professional advertising side, and you're still trying to make that argument after what was it, Super Bowl 2021, Super Bowl 20, yeah, 2021, where Charlie D'Amelio, because of TikTok, was in like 3 different Super Bowl ads. You're just wrong. Like the facts are stacked against you now.
Glenn, you realize you're stacking the cards against yourself, brother. So all of this is in an effort to help you understand, one, the platform that you've grown yourself, but also the influence you're bringing to us and other creators, and just the validity it brings to the space. Because like Charlie D'Amelio is a great example of like entertainment, right? Like the people are going to follow you for a couple of reasons of value. One of them being entertainment, another being education. And so TikTok has, in my opinion, eclipsed where a lot of educators are also coming into that space and giving you an opportunity to learn or be exposed through quick, short clip format. And you take that from that platform into maybe something like YouTube or blogs or whatever else that you're bringing your audience for more maybe of an intimate experience, especially now that they've done like the 3-minute launch of their videos, right? But yeah, dude, I it's past. So I'm saying all this to say, like, hey, dude, you should be really proud of what you've. How many? Just to kind of fluff you here, like how many views, like how many followers do you have now?
Okay. So one, insider information really quick. You mentioned TikTok having 3-minute videos. Forget sometimes that I am a creator and that I am big for the platform. I've been allowed, I don't, but I've been allowed to post 10-minute videos for probably about 3 months now.
Shut the fuck
Like,
up. Are you
yes, it's
serious?
still in beta, but like, yeah, I can pull it up right now. I can show you. I can post a 10-minute video on TikTok right now.
Okay, big
Like,
dick. Then what
people
are
have
we
been saying
talking about here? What is like?
people have been talking about this recently. I guess some influencers just like their whole shtick is that they are either in tech or advertising, or they talk about just like social media specifically in general. For a while, people assumed that Instagram and TikTok were like competitors, but TikTok very clearly has never cared about Instagram. TikTok's competition has always been YouTube, and especially with this 10-minute long feature, it's very obvious. Like TikTok is not competing with Instagram.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I find interesting about Instagram is now they're in reaction mode. You know, they are modeling TikTok and the way that they're adjusting by introducing reels and introducing these features. I mean, it's like it feels like Apple trying to catch up to Samsung or
I have
Android.
Yeah, yeah. I have so much that I can talk about with all those because I was mentioning this before we started recording, but when you guys said you wanted to do this episode, I did so much research. I've been diving into everything. I'm so excited to talk about everything. There's so many things that I guess since I've been considered even by different platforms as a creator for just about 3 years now, it's kind of I lose the barrier of what's public information that just anyone who uses social media knows and what's information that like a creator would know. Because like you mentioned the 3-minute long feature, I've been able to post videos that are 3 minutes long for just over a year now. Like it's old news at this point. But
No, I get it. We're
going
peasants.
back
No,
to what
continue. Yeah, go ahead.
no, but shoot, jumping back to what was the original point that we were making before
TikTok
the
competing
10
with
minute long
YouTube.
segment? TikTok competing with YouTube. Okay. So part of we were talking. Okay, we were talking about entertainment. We were talking about education and how because of that education and the longer videos, like a lot of educators are coming to TikTok. Part of the reason I think that TikTok gained such quick popularity is again because it's the new app, it's the new platform, and it's the first one that how would be the best way that you can get big on very easily.
Right.
Because like back when like Vine was big and people used it, and people still love Vine. I mean, even though it doesn't exist anymore, the hard spot for Vine is still very big. People die on that hill. It still wasn't really a thing to be a creator when Vine came and went. Kind of iffy. I feel like Vine helped create the idea that like being a creator is actually a legitimate thing that you can do full time, but it wasn't heavily established before Vine. And so this TikTok is the new app, well, I guess not so new anymore, but the new app where content creating is like a full-time profession. There are very real avenues that you can take and very real methods that you can use in order to get that far and to make that your full-time profession. And it's still incredibly easy to grow on, partially because it's so undersaturated. That seems weird to say. It still has like tons of users. I think it still has like over 1 billion monthly users. So that is still obviously huge. But it feels a lot less saturated than things like YouTube or Instagram, just because it is still newer.
Well, the one weird thing that I've noticed about Instagram, especially with Dylan taking the helm with that, is that like there's a lot of polish that goes into Instagram for providing value and hooking your audience, right? Like you can be giving really great value, but if someone goes to your page and it's not as aesthetically appealing, they're not as likely to be captured. Versus on TikTok, there feels like this more raw, authentic, organic, like the less filtered, the more clippy, like just like, hey, this is me showing who I really am, the more likely someone is to go like, okay, yeah, that's my person. Like that's my audience. Like that's the herd I want to be a part of.
And I hate continuing to say this. We will dive more into this, but also one thing that TikTok does so well, is its shelf life. Like honestly, I think that because of TikTok's algorithm being the way that it is, its shelf life for content is absolutely insane.
Keeps getting reserved, right? Like shit, I've noticed stuff pop off like months, weeks after it's posted. They'll just reserve it.
Yeah, like they just like cater to like whoever is using the app currently. Like some of my biggest videos from when like I first blew up in again like 2019, almost 3 years ago now. I still get notifications on a weekly basis of someone just like that video or someone just commented on those videos. And it's
The
like
fact they thought about that.
like that would never. No one's going back. If you go back and you like someone's picture from 3 years ago on Instagram, you're a stalker.
It's creepy.
You're a creep. You're disgusting.
Yeah.
You're getting blocked. But partially because TikTok doesn't. This is smart. TikTok has a lot of really smart little things that it does. It doesn't show you when it was posted. Like you can't easily see that unless you look for it.
Right.
You think that it's brand new.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to engage with it because that creepy factor of, oh, this is like 5 months old isn't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whereas Instagram, you feel like you need like the fresh fix, right? You're like, oh, this is dated. It feels stale. But
Exactly. Oh, also, there we go. I'm going back. Tooting my own horn because you asked me to.
honk.
If we're talking specifically numbers, on TikTok currently I have it's like 440,000 ish followers. I have like 22 ish million likes throughout like like the 3 years, and monthly view average is usually about like 8 to 12 million views per month. I would say is like fairly average for me.
Mm-hmm. And so like,
yeah.
and you're part of the creator fund, obviously, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have to dive into numbers, by the way. So like, let's stay obscure with that.
Oh, no, we can dive into numbers. Like I said, if there's
Okay.
something that I feel uncomfortable talking about, I'll just like veer the conversation.
Okay. And by the way, Dylan, I want, because this is another feature that I love about navigating to this platform. As we're going through, Dylan, if you could be marking these clips, I think that like that's something we should really be taking advantage of. But yeah, so yeah, let's dive into some numbers. Is it enough like as a creator to support yourself or?
No, absolutely not. It is nothing. I actually, do you want to do the break? I want to dive into it. I have so many notes on this.
Okay.
Let's do the breakdown. I did a breakdown of what 1 million views would get you on most of the platforms that people would care about.
Bitches?
Because what?
What? I want to scale, Glenn. How many million, like what is the breakdown to people sliding in your DMs? And
Here's the thing. I thankfully, thank God, I give off a very cute and a very friendly aesthetic, not a very sexy aesthetic.
Speak for yourself, dude. You're sexy as hell, you big dog. What are you talking about?
I still get way more, like the amount of especially because I have like a looser, much more like flamboyant sort of personality. The amount of like dick pics that I get in my DMs on like a weekly basis, it's dozens.
On a
It
weekly
doesn't
basis,
stop.
dozens.
On a week, people really like me. What can I say?
Hell yeah.
Um,
Do you have
I
a
feel
just a
bad for keeping it.
collage? That should be your background, Glenn. Just a fucking collage of all these just random dick
I'm
pics.
not trying to get demonetized. I can't do that. I'm scared to like. I stopped opening a lot of the DMs. Like if it says like received a picture or anything like that,
Now you see,
then
not
like
not
it's never gonna get
see.
opened.
This is
People are
why Colton
smart
wants to
though.
get
Like
famous. He
they'll send
wants
the
those.
dick
He
pic
wants
or
those
like
sent to him. So
just
that's
like a
what he's
pic
trying
like
to
that,
figure out.
and then they'll send
Yeah,
like
that's
a
why
long
he's
like
diving
short
in so
message
deep
after
on it.
that, so I can
He
only
wants the
see
numbers.
message in the preview. I can't see it
Is
if there's
it
a
W
picture
O
with it.
O D or WOULD? Like which kind of wood are we talking about? Like, would you do this or
Both. In
would
this
you cut
scenario,
down this tree?
this scenario, we're talking about both. We're talking about both in this case. This is we can have the double entendres. That's important.
Oh my
Oh,
god, I
I
can't
was
you
wait.
know
wondering
those
about it.
advertisements
I
that
was
pop up
wondering about
sometimes
it.
where you're on
Oh,
those
dude,
special
yeah, I
sites?
gotta
That's
have
what he's
it.
the guy creating
Can I
them.
get the
That's
exact
like he's the
numbers,
one
like, how
creating
many
them.
people on a week? No, can I get the specifics? Geographical. How many people would you say in a week in your like 25-mile radius want to sleep with you and would be down to come over immediately? Those are like the
I've
numbers.
never
that you really
downloaded Grinder, so I couldn't tell you. But I would imagine.
No. That's the information I'm providing for you today.
Got it. Okay, sweet.
How
These are the
big
metrics you came prepared with. Got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, the dick pics.
Are you alone right now? I could beat all of those. Oh my god.
Like the Smiling Bob. You guys remember
What's a
those
deep-
commercials?
It's a dream job, okay? Don't knock it.
Hey, no, I'm not
Hey,
knocking
whatever
it.
pays the bills.
So, like, yeah, let's break it down on like a monthly basis or per million. What does that look like as a full-time creator?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to break down the platforms first because that's a lot easier. Monthly, it gets a little bit iffier, and I'll talk about that in a second. So you mentioned how Instagram is desperately trying to catch up. Instagram is doing a really fucking good job of catching up just because they're paying a lot more. So if we're doing like a million views, I have like the platforms that people probably care about. There's obviously TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, specifically YouTube Shorts, Twitter, and then Snapchat. Do you guys know that you can make money off of Snapchat? Is
Oh,
that
dude,
public
Snapchat's
knowledge?
probably the highest profitable platform right now, isn't it?
Well, give it 1 second. So,
Okay.
I guess no, we can jump into that. So Snapchat, it started when like it first launched. It was Snapchat Spotlights, and they were paying like a lot of money. Like I have like 3 or 4 different friends who made like over $100,000 in like the first month, just because of how much money Snapchat was shilling out. And these aren't even like huge creators either. These are people probably a little bit bigger than me. I don't think any of them had more than like 1 million on TikTok. Like these aren't like giant creators. These are like other 20-some-year-olds that I just happened to be friends with. And now it's limited. Snapchat is weird. It doesn't pay you per view.
I think that might be because
It's just
a few
if
years
the
ago,
content gets
doing a lot of
big
traveling,
enough
I would talk with
that you
people and try to
have a
share
chance
social media.
to
For a
get
while, I
some
heard
of the
nobody's on
money out of the
Snapchat.
pot that they
And I
have
think maybe for a
right?
minute,
So, like,
maybe your friends
you
were
could
getting
get
that
1 million
because it was
views,
still
for
spreading.
example,
Like
on
Snapchat
a
platform
post
is still
you did
spreading,
on
just not maybe
Snapchat
not in the U.S. It
today.
might have hit India or
But
something.
because
and it just
someone
started
else got
popping
10
off
million
there,
views on
and then they're
theirs
getting that
same
wave.
day,
But now
you're going to get
that it's
less
spread off
money
around the world, it's
because
starting
more
to
of the
die back down. And what they're
popular
doing so they can
Yeah.
save their
So
wallets is just giving it to the biggest content creator.
yeah,
It seems to be a lot of companies are more on there than actual
Exactly.
content creators. Like, it's companies advertising or MTV is on there. You know, they have those sections.
exactly. Snapchat,
Yeah.
especially for the amount of work that you have to put into it, that's another thing. The amount of work that you have to put in to get any money off of Snapchat really makes it very not profitable anymore. You can still do it, have fun. I'll support you from over here. I'm just not like rooting for you, you know? Yes, 100%.
It certainly feels like, hey, we hired this person to do our Snapchat. Like they're refunneling content from other platforms. It like that was part of the reason that drove me away from Snapchat. One, when they did away from the stories of your buddies going top down, where it was like very easy to just go down the list and started making it left to right, where your most frequented friends were kind of like the Instagram, right? Where it's going to feed you
Yeah.
the stories at the top. And then they went into I don't even know how you would describe like the picture, like the collage format that they did, and it just feel
Yep.
you feel that repurposed energy when you're looking at this content. It doesn't feel like native content, and so just it's like I'd rather just go to the platform they made this for, personally.
Exactly. It feels very awkward. But jumping into specific views, because Snapchat is weird, I need to include it just so that we could talk about it, because otherwise someone would bring up that you can bring money on Snapchat, and I would never hear the end of it. So, a million views on TikTok gives you essentially nothing. A million views on TikTok, you're making probably like $35 to $40.
Really?
For Instagram, on the other hand, it gets a little bit wonkier because how Instagram Reels pays you is a little bit subjective. But if you get a million views on Instagram Reels, it is probably closer to $150, $200. YouTube, obviously, like long form YouTube, everyone knows it's usually between like $2,000 to $4,000 for a million views. It gets iffy depending on like what exact niche you are in. And not even, they're so smart. It literally changes like video per video. It's not even like across your whole platform. And then like YouTube Shorts and Twitter pay you absolutely nothing. They're fixing it on YouTube Shorts. They're starting to come out with stuff, but like nothing, worthless.
Well, that's the other thing too. So like, if you had to define your niche, like where do you feel like you'd fall, Glenn?
My niche, I mean, right now it's specifically bartending content. My niche kind of like fluxes a little bit because people tend to like my personality, and so I can get away on just being a funny guy for a little bit. But most of my content is just revolving around bartending, making cocktails, making shots, bar hacks, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty nice.
Have you ever
I've gotten to try
followed?
a lot
Did
of
you
cool
get any
things.
inspiration from? There was another bartender, like a Jamaican guy, I want to say. That like I remember on Facebook, he started out there as like the happy bartender. I can't remember what his tag was, but for me, he was the
I've
first one I was exposed to that was doing any kind of bartending influence at all.
I've heard of him. He was definitely not an inspiration. I would,
Yeah.
unfortunately for me, I don't really think I have any really specific inspiration like for bartending. It was just what came naturally.
Martha Stewart.
I guess to no. To make that make more sense. What I initially got big for, so going from like kind of a content creator to actually making money, is people labeled me the CEO of soda. That's actually, I'm not sure if people can see it, but I'm wearing my own merch right now. CEO of
Yeah,
soda.
plug, dude.
Yeah. So basically all it was is I just made a video. And I was just mixing two different sodas together. I didn't think it was weird. My family does it all the time. Apparently it was a novel concept. I was mixing, I think it was like Sprite and then Mountain Dew, Merry Mashup. It's their special Christmas flavor. It's cranberry. Um, and apparently that was novel, never been done before, never seen before,
Different than like
iconic,
the
everything
suicides,
fine.
right? Where you'd be mixing just
Yeah,
sodas.
yeah. Suicides, obviously, you're just mixing random ones. I specifically mixed it based off of flavor palettes or whatever you want to call it to make like good drinks. And I describe them very interestingly. I'm someone who, I forget what the technical term for it is, but a lot, like it's the same when you like on like heavy hallucinogenics where like you start like hearing colors or music looks a certain way. That's something that I experience like naturally all the time, and I also am a fairly gifted writer, so like I was able to very easily explain the flavor of it. I explained it in a way that was kind of like a memory, like and that's, it just drew people towards me because of that. Like I think for that one I described it as bunches of cherries exploding in your mouth, and it was weird, it was different, caught people's attention. People make fun of me a lot. I describe things as like I'll describe it as like walking across the beach with your best friend when you both decide to call out of work on a random Tuesday, and that's what this specific drink tasted like. realistically, just because that is what it tastes like to me, I really can't explain it. It's just that's the instant memory or the instant feeling that popped up. But because of that, I started as that CEO started stuff. That was in 2019, and that carried me through for like a while. I was just making different cocktails and stuff like that. I only recently started incorporating alcohol, probably, I think it was August, so it's been less than a year since I started.
Man, when the
incorporating
soda
alcohol.
machines,
And
the
it was
Coca-Cola
just
soda
the
machines
large
came out where they
next
just
step.
mix it
I'm
for
constantly
you.
trying to do things differently. Like, things more
You
exciting.
must have,
You can only do
that
one
must
thing
have been
so
heaven
you
for
have to,
you
like,
when you saw
reinvent
one of
things
those.
on yourself. And like the next logical step was, okay, I've mixed sodas, I've mixed juices, I've done a bunch of stuff with all type of drinks. Let's step in and like let's start doing stuff with alcohol. And that opened like an entirely new world, obviously, and it's keeping the content nice and fresh.
A whole new world.
The dream
God,
machines,
dude.
absolutely. It was amazing. I still love them so
Glenn, we
much.
need to set up a contest so that we can buy one of those for your house, dude. I think that would be like a sick thing for you to have.
I have, it's already a problem. There's too many drinks here. I was going through all the alcohol that I have yesterday with one of my roommates, and she was like, "You're not going to use like these 7 bottles. I guarantee you will never finish them." I was like, "No, but I needed them.
Right.
They were important.
It serves a
They're there.
purpose,
I need
right?
them for a drink. Yeah.
And
They're
so
a tax write-off. Like, what am I supposed to tell you?"
So what do you think about like the evolution of your personal content, so to speak? Like, do you have a particular vision that you want to bring your audience through or to, or is it more like reactionary where like you're more capturing your own journey and having people along for the ride?
It is partially capturing my own journey because most of these stuff I haven't tried before. It has forced me to go out and do new things and collect things. It's really fun. I do enjoy that aspect. But most of it is, I guess what I say most of it is, anyways, is that I
Here.
want my content to be kind of like a gateway for like young drinkers because like so obviously no one should ever drink when they're under the age of 21. That's horrible. That's terrible. It is illegal for a reason. It should stay illegal. I would never support any doing of any sort of that ever. But a lot of people underage do drink, and like if you're going to drink underage, does it have to be like Kharkov and Kool-Aid? Like, can't we have something a little bit nicer? Like, yeah, like, cause like soda is something pretty easily accessible. And like same with like juices, all of that sort of things. And like if you look, you can easily find millions of different cocktails that you could make. So if I'm just making it a little bit more easily accessible, that people who are entering their drinking days are entering them successfully and are being like safe and careful while they are, that's all the goal really is.
I don't know. I think there's a certain gateway to personally. We all talk about life through our own perception, right? And if, from my experience, you're not, hey, mistering someone at a gas station for a dirty 30 of Natty Light, are you even having a 16-year-old experience? I mean, come on.
See, I have sorry, some very things that I cannot talk about on the podcast. I remember getting my first bottle of, I think it was Pineapple New Amsterdam was the first bottle of alcohol that I ever like specifically had someone get for me.
Man
was, like,
says
really
things
good.
I can't talk about on the podcast, proceeds to talk about on the podcast.
I didn't talk about how I got it.
Oh,
Just that
Glenn, we got some more wood coming out.
What can you say? But like after that, I'm fortunate enough that most of my friends were over the age of 21. Also, like I had a fake ID for a long time, so like that also helped.
Can we
So
also
I was
talk
able
about
to-
how weird it is? Like, I remember being 22, 23, and then being approached by like 18, 19-year-olds, and it felt just fucking weird to me. But I remember being like 17, 18 and hanging out with the older crowd, and it was just totally normal. And so I don't know if that was my experience of like the younger people approaching me, but like being older and having younger people approach me, I'm like, that's just fucking weird. It's like, nah, it just didn't appeal to me to hang out with that younger generation.
I'm starting.
This person has
to make it,
responsibilities.
to, like,
We
feel
don't
a
wanna
little bit
hang
weird.
out
Like,
with
even,
that
like,
person.
my last year of college, I was only
This
like
person
20
sounds
at the time. And it
loser.
already felt
Wanna
weird just
work.
even hanging out with like the
Yeah.
freshmen. I was like, feels a little bit.
I think
I
there,
don't know, a
yeah,
little
there
bit
is something to be said. I totally agree. Like that precipice of like after college, right? Like if you're a senior in college, like you're still a part of that communion, right? Like you're still a
Yeah.
part of that group. But like once you graduate, then there's like some kind of dissonance that forms between that community.
Yeah, this first sounds like a full-time job. They have to like go to work. I'd hate to be them.
No, yeah, man. So I just think it's so cool. So like you've been creating content pretty regularly for 3 years. Is that about the
Yeah, that's about right.
okay? And so earlier when I asked like, all right, so you're kind of capturing your own journey. Do you have any kind of like vision for what you wanted? Now you have a platform, right? Like you are an established creator, and so like what comes up for you when you think about, okay, like what kind of opportunities or possibilities would you want to pursue moving forward?
So obviously there's some like really like futuristic long-term sort of stuff. But I say futuristic, it's very possible. It's very possible. But one, and this is always in the back of every single creator's head, just not falling off. That'd be really nice. It'd be really nice for the internet not to suddenly get sick of me or to not suddenly cancel me. But both of those things would be
Can you
very
tell us what
great.
that is? That drink
But like
is?
going forward, I would love one to branch out more from just drink creation. Like I absolutely love it, but going from that into much more personality based is always exciting, always fun. But specifically in the drink world, I know it can happen.
What's your favorite
I want
liqueur
the
or your
SirGlenneth,
liquor
that's my
that
name
you
on
you
social
you
media.
like?
My SirGlenneth drink with Coca-Cola. It's going to happen. Like you can't sit here and tell me that's not going to happen. Um, that's like listen. It, I mean, I can't like tell you exactly what it would be, but it's much more on the, I guess, light and airy sort of side. I have a couple of ideas. I'm a scientist, so I am actively experimenting with
You
flavors.
said yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, this is
Jägermeister.
so
That
funny.
normally when I
And
hit
it's only
when
'cause it was the
Jägermeister
first
is put in
time I
front of
ever
me,
got, well, not
it's a
ever
place
got
that I'm
the
going to
first
be where I'm
regular
like,
drink,
oh, this
and
night's
it's
not
like
going to be
this.
remembered. Got it.
Um,
Like if that is ending up,
Maybe I can drink
if
like
that is in
water.
front of
Give
me,
the
the
bottle,
night's
I'll
gone.
just
It's
down
like
it.
cool. All right,
There's
that's what we're
no
doing
feeling.
tonight.
It just slides straight down.
Always a
Nice,
great
slimy,
night.
warm,
Yeah.
thick.
Are you talking about
I love it
Jägermeister? What are
so
you talking
much.
about?
Yeah, Jägermeister.
Okay, cool. Because that could have gone a lot of directions, but yeah, sure. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, all right, all right, all right. I'm tracking. I'm tracking.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the secret to life.
Oh, dude,
no, that is
100%.
nice for me.
But it's always a great night, is it not? Like anytime, always
No,
a great
yeah,
night.
it's amazing. Do it 100%. It's
Start
worth
with
it. It's worth
yeah,
making it happen.
a
Dude,
Jaeger
I
subtle
mimosa.
life
have side
hack.
effects
I
to
think
this
there
yet.
should just be a banner that comes across right now as like, yo, Jaeger is always the start. Like that should just be how I start my days. You know, it's like, hey, I want to have a great day.
Well,
I want to make some
well,
friends.
no, see, I was about to say maybe not. I feel like starting your day off with Yai kind
It's
of
like cough syrup to
brands
me,
you as an
for sure.
alcoholic, which is usually frowned on.
Get the fuck out of here with
in our
all that
community.
nonsense, dude. Look, we embrace everybody, all animals included.
Yeah, that's why I don't like it.
Yo, okay, I can get behind that. But that would be like my favorite like type of alcohol, my favorite liqueur. It's
So is a Jaeger bomb
I
your
can't
favorite
explain it.
shot?
It doesn't have the same
It's just
bite as like a lot of liquor. Like it literally,
No,
it
no, it doesn't.
tastes. I mean, I could assimilate
Yeah?
a little bit to like medicine, right? In like a weird way, a little bit, right? But I think that's more the viscosity than it is the
Yeah.
flavor, right? But it because it's a little.
It just tastes like black licorice.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's green licorice. I don't know. That's a weird
Man,
thing
you like
to say.
to party,
Green
buddy.
licorice?
Yeah,
Really?
I don't know if that's even a thing, but like I hate black licorice, but like it.
They're great. I'm more of a blackout than a Jaeger bomb, because I don't really like energy drinks. I'm someone who is pretty like anxious and uppity already, and so like if I have an energy drink and I don't have something I can actively like focus on doing, like my heart rate's
Yeah.
gonna skyrocket. I feel very nervous. I can't do anything. So I stay away from them. I stay away from like literally last night, just for no reason, I made myself. I think it was like 8 blackouts. Okay, it wasn't.
What
no
is a
reason. It was
blackout, by the
roommate
way?
here.
I thought I was tracking on that. I'm not.
A blackout, it's like usually pretty equal parts Yag, Kahlua, and Bailey's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rock
Oh,
on, dude. Glenn, we are seeing
delicious.
a whole different shade of you, buddy.
A whole different shade, nah. I mean, if you look on TikTok, I'm being branded as an alcoholic. It's kind of funny. For the first time, no, for the first time, this was like a month ago, someone called me an alcoholic. I was like, I've been posting pretty much daily cocktails for about 6 months now, and now I'm the alcoholic. Like I was an alcoholic back then too.
But isn't that a funny
Nothing's
thing that,
changed.
like, I mean, this is kind of one of the guiding principles of our platform and what we want to expose people to is that, like, everyone has a vice, right? And so, like, you can call yourself an alcoholic or whatever, but, like, I am, first off, there's a lot of different streams coming up for me right now, but, like, if you don't have something that is considered a vice in your life, like, that's a human condition in a nutshell, right? So I have a lot of sympathy for people that look at alcoholics. Coming from a family where my father was an alcoholic, he was the definite prototypical alcoholic, right? Where it's not serving him in any capacity. But what percentage of humans are drinking caffeine every single day, right? Or nicotine or whatever, right? There's something serving everyone. I mean, alcohol is one of like the traditional vices that doesn't serve, but if someone like yourself where it's like, hey man, you're actually like finding a really creative passion and purpose in it,
Yeah.
and it's not like, damaging your life in any kind of way, like this is kind of like a creative outlet for you, so it's like, whatever, like what are you going to do with that label? Like someone's throwing it out there because like their day's shitty or they need to like project onto you or something.
Exactly. It's fine. It's fine. I don't actually think of myself as an alcoholic. I just
So
think it's
you
really
you
funny that
wouldn't label
people call
yourself
me
as like
that.
an alcoholic, so to say.
No, because I don't like. I would think if you're doing like the stereotype like picture of an alcoholic, there's someone who would need alcohol to function. I'm gonna be
I
very
think
straight up.
I,
I wouldn't.
I think it's
drink
kind of like
alcohol
calling
really
someone
ever
that
if
smokes
I
weed but
wasn't
gets
creating
stuff done
content
a
with it.
pothead.
How often
Like
throughout
you're
the week
still
would you
getting
say that
shit
you're
done. Like
consuming
even though
alcohol?
you drink,
Okay, now
but
see now this is
I
making
can
me
kind of
sound like
consider
an
like a
alcoholic.
pothead someone that's like,
Because
no,
like I
I can get
said, I
stuff done,
post
but all
daily,
their
and
shit
right
keeps
now I've been
backing up. They're not
mitigating
getting anything
shots, so
done because
I'm
they're
probably
smoking a ton
drinking
of
at
weed.
least a shot
That
or
person's a
two
pothead. But
on a
like calling
daily
someone
basis.
alcoholic is
Do you feel
someone
like you're
that's
doing that more for
they can't
like,
get
okay,
shit
like, hey, I'm
done.
making this drink, let me
Now
do it?
there's
Or is it
cases
like,
where
Okay,
hey,
I
I
someone,
only
want
do
to,
it for the drink.
high end
Like
executive
I
is just
almost
pounding
never
alcohol
drink
and
off
somehow they're
camera.
able to get shit
okay.
done.
It's
But
almost
like I
exclusively
think
on
that's a more
camera.
rare case, but that's how I relate that to. Like you're still getting your stuff done. Your content's about making that. You drink one, or it's like
Oh,
people that
truly.
drink a glass of wine a day. Are they alcoholics? No, that helps the heart, I guess. That's what they tell themselves.
Exactly.
No. What?
Yeah.
I
And
don't know.
like
Someone that drinks a
You
glass of
drive
wine a
your
day, I would
car
consider an
once or
alcoholic.
twice a day. Do you consider yourself a race car driver?
maybe, maybe I wouldn't, but I could see why you would.
I
Well,
don't
the
think
reason I'm
so.
saying that
Like
is
a
because,
race car
like, when
driver, they're
you're,
driving every
so the
day. This is
difference
their
here
job, and
that,
this
like,
is
if
what they do,
someone's
and they
drinking a
depend on
glass
that
of
for
wine
money.
a day,
You
right? Like,
drive
that's
to,
an outlet, right? And I'm not putting
no,
that
but this is
traditional
just
lens
drinking their
or
wine
connotation
once a
on it, right?
day. If
But
they're drinking a
you're
whole
talking about
bottle a day,
consistent
that might
glass
be
of
a little
wine every single
different.
day
But
and stopping
and they
there,
need that
like
to
that, I mean,
live and
that's a form
survive.
of
But drinking a glass
dependency.
of
Like
wine a day
there's
is just
some
like,
kind
hey,
of coping
that's something I
mechanism
enjoy.
that's being triggered there. I think that's a bit of a reach, personally. Do I need my fucking wine to get to work? Well, this is where you're starting to get into like the gray area of like how you're going to define a label, right? And so like
When's the next Burt Kreischer?
it's all going to come down to the
Calling it now?
mechanism that's triggering someone to reach for a glass of wine, right? If they're doing that as an outlet or just like a habit or whatever, and unconsciously they're doing it every day, like there's an unconscious mechanism being triggered. Versus in Glenn's case, he's like, hey, I'm creating content. Like I'm like he's not consuming it kind of otherwise. I mean, it's either socially or
Good point.
creatively. Like that's a conscious mechanism being turned on versus at the end of the night.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think what we can all agree on here is we all live in America. We all are very well aware that no one actually really cares if you're an alcoholic as long as you still get your shit done. As long as it starts inconveniencing other people, then we can start worrying about the labels. But as long as you get what you need to done, no one's really gonna bother you.
I mean, that's the drug scheduling policy in a nutshell. Is that it just really grinds my gears. The fact that like even with psychedelic substances that we have to go through this medicinal benefit in order to reschedule it. And I mean, we've talked about this at almost nauseum on our podcast, like alcohol at one point during Prohibition having to be considered medicinally beneficial in order for someone to be able to drink it. Like, fucking what? And it's like, I'm sorry, like I'm an adult. I should be able to just do whatever the fuck I want as long as it's not impeding anyone else, their happiness, their livelihood. Or
Probably because it
otherwise.
makes more
Like,
money as a
I
medicinal
don't know
option
anybody
than it does
that
as a
is
regular
like, hey,
option.
let me fucking take some drugs and
As an
just go
outlet.
drive. Like, especially psychedelics. You know what I mean? Or let me just go fuck with people. Like, that's just not happening. Most people want to just like, be in like, there's an exception to everything, but
Yeah,
it just
you know, it's
blows
a
my
safer,
mind that like
safer location.
we have to consider
for
something
sure
to be
double it. Don't care.
medicinally
I'll pay it.
beneficial for
At least I know it's coming
you
from
know,
a safe location.
higher ups political influence to give the fucking green light on it. That's just crazy to me. Well, I mean,
It'd be great if they just like legalized a lot more stuff across the board. There, I'm perfectly fine with paying my taxes on any drug that I buy.
oh, dude, I pay a fucking premium.
Yeah,
But I do. I come
at
with
least
I
know
come
who
at
I
it with
can
a lot
sue
of
if I like.
there's a lot of sympathy for those that don't understand. That come from an older generation. Like I have a lot of empathy rather because like I remember the first time that I took psychedelics and even like the preceding time, second, third, fourth, fifth, I mean, I was the black sheep. Like I was the one that had to like with limited information, limited scope of education, go try something that like I had to double down on my own fortitude to be like, hey, no, this is a good decision in the face of everything that like society and culture had taught me is like, no, like that's stay away from it. Right. And so, and policymakers, they're coming from a generation like, who the fuck wants to be in politics that you're like, oh, I want to be like that person. Right. And so they come from they're a bunch of old heads, you know, so their influence, their thinking comes from a generation that is so detached. And especially talking like the 70s, 80s, when psychedelics were really abused. Like I can't fault them for the way their perception, you know what I mean? So like I think that's why time kind of plays a big part in rescheduling a lot of these things, or just letting me be a free fucking American.
I want the
So
I
anyway,
want the
we've
dumpster.
kind of gravitated away from.
I want the
content
dumpster
creation
fire. I want all of that.
At a whole.
I want
but- So like, yeah, Glenn, going through our podcast, I mean, to shift it a little bit, like, what has been your experience of just kind of watching, you know, the content we're putting out in this platform and how you're interacting with it? Like, what resonates with you, and what do you feel like, yeah, what resonates with you about like our journey and being a part of that?
You really just want to hear like me say good things about you guys. I know why I was.
I want to know why the fuck you're still with us. That's what I want to know. Yeah, dude.
Uh, well, like obviously, the dumpster fire can be heard if you listen to any episode that came out. I would say between like November and like January. So we don't need to dive into the dumpster fire. But like you guys have gotten a lot more like one because this is like the biggest thing just with content creation like in general. Being comfortable on camera. Like not that you guys were uncomfortable when like I first like joined on, but you are much more free and easy and relaxed now. This is something that you guys just do, and it comes across. It's something very easy to see, especially for a viewer. It's very easy to tell when someone is comfortable and when someone isn't, and it's been nice. I really like that. Like, you guys are much more just go with the flow, which is weird to say for people who their entire brand is a little bit go with the flow. Obviously, your production quality has gotten a lot better. Fewer technical issues. I am.
That's just the crazy part. Like, I mean, even to shift it right back, I mean, I was really kind of looking for a hook into your journey through us. And so, like, what has been your experience with technical issues that figuring out? Because, like, one thing that I've noticed, and this is the tough part about my sphere of influence, is seeing a lot of high level creators, is that it seems so polished. It seems like if you want to be a content creator, that you got to start off amazing or it's shit, right?
So, yeah, yes and no. Okay, here's the thing. Because of TikTok, yay, back to TikTok, amazing, great. It doesn't need to be polished and perfect. In fact, that is kind of off-putting unless you're specifically in that genre, if you're specifically in one of those niches. It just needs to be like it has to be
Yeah.
something worth saying, something worth doing. Like there has to be intrinsic value in what you are creating and what's being like given to people. Like, for example, like if you're a storyteller, you just like you tell stories about things that happen in your life. It better be the most exciting story that I've ever heard. Feel free to lie on the internet if you need to, if that's what you need to do to make your story more exciting. But don't waste my time with a minute-long story that like is boring. Because like I can scroll and I will have forgotten about you by the time the next video finishes. Give me something to hook onto. Um, Obviously, it's easier if you have like I don't know bright colors, exciting like backgrounds. I don't know if you're always like movie level quality, but that's not what people specifically go to TikTok for. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so successful because the barrier to entry is so incredibly small. And yeah, I agree. A lot of like big content creators, it is very polished and is very, I guess, very professional looking. I feel like that's more of a side effect of just getting better at what you do because the more you like improve and like the more comfortable you are on camera and the more comfortable you are with your equipment, the more comfortable you are with exactly what type of content you're going to be producing, it's easier to know how to improve quality and where to improve the quality, even if it's just very minor changes. And so, unless it's like part of your aesthetic that you have bad quality,
Part of your
which is part of
aesthetic.
some people's aesthetic. Well, like there's some examples. Like obviously, a really popular example is like Emma Chamberlain. Like Emma Chamberlain, you can't convince me that she isn't using the same camera that she used all the way back in 2016. She has not bought a new camera. Her quality is the same that it was for the last 6 years, and she is still one of the most successful influencers that has ever come out of the influencer sphere, but that's part of her brand. She's always been down to earth. She's always been like, I'm going to vlog in my car while rating different coffee brands I'm driving around. I'm going to cook something in my kitchen that's like a vegan meal. Like, it's never been super high quality content. So it wouldn't make sense for it to suddenly become very produced. In fact, that would turn people away from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think something that comes up for me when you're describing that is in your own journey. Did you ever feel a pull to
And just
like,
getting
be a certain thing when you
and
started?
getting comfortable
or
too about
what
what you're
was your
saying
inspiration
when you're
behind
recording,
wanting to
in front of
originally
the camera.
share whatever's coming up for you, like your story, like what's inspiring you, like because there's that for our sake, like we had to push through some uncomfortability barriers, right, Dylan? Like it was kind of like there's kind of like this barrier of like, oh shit, like is what I have to say worth saying? Like would anyone give a fuck about what I feel like I want to share?
Yeah.
So like what inspired you to want to push through that, so to speak?
Yeah. So this is actually really a little bit of a cute story. I really like it. I like I said, I had used Musically before it became TikTok, and like when TikTok first started, I wasn't really a part of it. But I remember when I was in college, one of my friends, she was on TikTok. I think she probably had like 20,000 followers at that point,
Loser.
and she was yeah, I know, like like what's she even doing? Like pleb. But she was just talking to like people like I don't even think I was part of the conversation, but she was just like talking to people around me, and she was talking about it because obviously it was like cool, it was exciting. This was like summer of 2019, like TikTok was still brand new, and she mentioned that she liked it because it was like she described it as her small little corner of the internet, and that stuck out to me. I was like, That's amazing. I I'd love a little corner of the internet. I think that'd be cute. Because like when people think of influencers, they think of like huge. They think like,
Right.
oh, like for example, you brought up like Mr. Beast. I brought up like Emma Chamberlain. You're thinking of people who literally get millions of views to tens of millions to hundreds of millions of views on any video that they produce.
Yeah.
Um, and just like that seems like very stressful. That's very A-list celebrity. That's very cameras following you everywhere. You can't have a life, no privacy. But like something small, like hey, there's just like a couple of thousand people on the internet that like kind of care about me. Like they care about how I'm doing. It's just like my own small little corner. That was inspiring. That's what started me posting on TikTok. And because back then, and up until CEO of Soda was born accidentally, I found out very quickly that specifically on TikTok, it wasn't, how do I say it? It wasn't, is what I have to say worth saying? It's, oh, people really don't care whether I'm saying anything important or not. Like, it was like the most like trashy sort of spam posting, ridiculous garbage. And people absolutely loved it. They ate it up. They were like, oh my gosh, Glenn is like my favorite creator. Which like, I mean, they still say, so clearly I'm doing something right.
Well, it's
So,
a
like,
way.
it
I
was
think that
never a
for
question of
really, it's with
is
all
this
this
worth posting?
social media
It's
coming out. It's the
just like, oh,
best
I'm going to
example of
post it, people are
showing
going
that
to
there are
love it,
other
'cause for
people
some
out there
reason
like
people
you with
just
similar
happen to
likes and
like it, which
personalities
I
and things like that. When everyone
is a
thought
little
like
bit, I guess,
before, like
lucky
I'm
on my
alone
part,
in
like
this
people
world,
just
no
were
one's like
attracted
me.
to my
Like post
personality
something on the
and
internet, you're
love
going to get
that.
somebody out there probably to like
Because a
it
lot of
at some
people
point.
don't
You know,
have a
so there's like
personality
showing
at all,
there's
so it's
people
hard
out
to like
there
work with
that
that. It has
have
like
similar likes that you have. So
manufacturer,
when you did that,
and
when
if the
she did
manufacturer
that, like,
looks too
oh,
fake.
there's a couple thousand other people out there that like this stupid stuff. If I was in a room with these people and I said this, they would probably laugh.
Everyone, yeah, yeah.
So
Which is it's such like a weird concept, but
when and if you had something, I didn't mean to interject there, but
no,
okay.
go ahead.
So when you were in that incubation phase, let's say, because I think, man, there's so much beauty in what you just shared. Like really, like I would highlight, double click, underline. When you're talking about like the small corner of the internet, like that is such a beautiful expression of what the internet is best expressed as. Finding your people, finding someone that resonates with you, whether it's just a couple people or a lot of people, like whatever, like finding your communion, right? Now, inevitably, what it also attracts with attention is haters. You know, like no one likes to talk about it,
Yeah.
nobody wants it. But when you were going through that, like, okay, hey, I want to cultivate my own little corner of the internet. I know at some point early on, and maybe I would assume throughout the process, you've encountered people calling you an alcoholic or just throwing hate and, you know, just vomiting their poison bullshit on you. How have you dealt with that? What ways have you found to be like really productive in moving through that?
So a couple of different things. One, it sounds kind of sad, but like most people who are influencers will agree with this. You kind of just have to like accept the comments just like in neither a positive or a negative way. Like if someone like I just made a joke about people saying that I'm their favorite creator. Like as much as like I can joke and like laugh about that, if I read that, it doesn't mean anything to me. Just as much if someone said, "Oh, I hate you. Your content is garbage. Go kill yourself." It also doesn't mean anything to me. It's very hard because like part of the reason why TikTok is so addictive and part of the reason why social media is so addictive is because people get hooked on that positive affirmation. They like it when people like say that they like their outfit or like they had like a really interesting point there or they really like that food that they cooked or whatever. But when you start obviously like evaluating how you feel about yourself based off of people saying positive things about you, it's nearly impossible to not equate like things that you feel negatively about yourself with negative things that people are saying about you. That was a horrible way to say that. Let me re-say that. If you would purposely gain validation from the internet on things that you do good and it's making you feel better, then you will undoubtedly feel worse about so many things because people point them out on the internet. Like so many people have talked about this, even recently. People like Brittany Broski and Sarah Schauer have mentioned this. How many insecurities they didn't have until the internet pointed it out. Like Brittany Broski, for example, she's someone who has like a pretty big forehead. She never really like was aware of it. Like she obviously knew she had a big forehead, but she wasn't like consciously aware of it until the internet started making fun of her. Now she has a new insecurity because other people have brought it to her attention. Or someone shoot, because Colton, you follow them. Chunky's dead. Melissa. Me and Melissa have been friends since like COVID times. She has like super skinny arms, and that's something that she never realized, never like fully connected or whatever until the internet started massively like making fun of how like string beanie her arms were. And so
She's, by the way, she's
unfortunately,
like
to survive
seriously
it-
one of my all-time favorite influencers. I mean, when you talk
Yeah,
about like radical authenticity,
part of the reason why I agreed to work with you guys is because I saw that you were following her. I was like, okay, they understand, they get the program.
yeah,
Little shout out, little tidbit. Do you remember Long Elmo 2020?
yeah, yeah.
I'm in that video.
No shit.
I'm one of the first people in that video. Yes, sir.
Sick, dude. That's an awesome connection, by the way. That's so
The
cool.
internet world is very small. The internet world is teeny tiny.
Yeah, man, that is
But
so funny.
but but yeah. So it's really hard to like you just have to like not let the comments affect you positively or negatively in any way. It's kind of sad that you can't like have like the fun and like enjoyment, but it opens you up to like actually actively getting hurt. I would say one of the other best ways to like not let the comments affect you is to try to have some sort of
Congrats,
a life
by the
outside
way.
of
That's
content
awesome.
creation. It's very helpful because it reminds you that you can disconnect and that you can like leave and that you'll still be okay. I talk about being a full-time content creator, and if we're talking monetarily, I am a full-time content creator, but I have a whole like 9 to 5. Like I don't talk about this like a lot because it's not that interesting. But like I graduated with my degree in biochemistry and molecular biology in December. I'm working at like one of the top labs in the world currently. Like I have I work. Yeah, thank you. I work my like 60 hours a week every week at a normal lab job. Like I have a full life completely separated from the internet. And that helps keep me sane. I know when I started working for you guys, I was trying to see, could I be a full-time content creator? Could I actually like do that and handle that? And I couldn't. I know that for me personally, because my vice is unfortunately not alcoholism, because that's cool. My vice is
Fortunately, it's not alcohol.
see,
Sorry, buddy. We'll connect you with heroin sometime soon.
no. Okay, wait a second. I'll send you my address in the chat right now. But my like biggest vice I would say for myself is probably the fact that I need to constantly be busy. I can't. It's almost impossible for me to relax. Even I mean, I'll bring this up in a second, but like the point is, I was trying to see if I could be a content creator, if that's something that I could do. I can't because I get so hyper focused on the content. I will never let myself breathe because the problem, like with my like 9 to 5 job, I never think about that job if I'm not driving to work or at work.
You can turn it
Like
off.
as soon as I step off foot of that campus, that job never pops into my head.
Right.
But with content creation, especially because like part of what I do is I make different drinks, I make different shots. I have content that like is essentially limitless. It's rare that I'm not actively thinking about content. Like
So
what could I make?
That brings
What
up an
kind of
interesting
alcohol
question.
should I
That
buy?
so
How
you're
can I make
you
it
just graduated
better?
college, so you've
What
seen
type of descriptions, what
probably
type
have a ton
music
of
should I be
friends that are
using? Could I
also
record it a
kind of
different way?
creating
What different
content,
angle would be
things like
better?
that.
And
I'm
that
just
stacks
curious,
on even
how
more
many
when you talk
people
about, like, doing different
did you
platforms.
see
Like,
going
obviously,
through
I'm biggest
college
on
that are
TikTok, but
actively
on a
trying to
daily
create
basis, I
content
also do
and
stuff
put it
on
out
YouTube. I
there?
do
And
stuff
then
on
have you seen the
Instagram. I do
follow up
stuff
to
on
that as you're thinking about
Snapchat.
that
I have
is have you
2
seen the
other
dark
podcasts
side
that I
where
co-host
two
on.
people
Like,
aren't doing what
recently,
you do,
I'm
where
always
you're
looking
like,
for
oh, I
things.
can go to
I'm
this job,
never
work 9 to 5, and then
not
create content?
thinking
How many
about
people
content.
you saw just
And
are like, I'm going to create
yeah.
content, become famous, and they're not listening to anybody, too, as well, and that's just overdoing it.
Yes. It's happened a lot of times, obviously, because like TikTok was really blowing up. Like,
Mm.
when I blew up the first time, it was 5 days before I moved to college to like my first semester there. So that was like the first like big like boom of like TikTok in general. So a lot of people were really excited and really into it. I've seen a couple of people drop out for it. They're not doing bad. Like they're surviving. They aren't like homeless out on the street, which is like great. I've also seen some people drop out who have become like massively
Mm.
successful. It's unfortunately a little bit
Mm.
of luck is involved
Yeah.
in this. You could have absolutely amazing content and just never gain the traction that like you deserve or that your content should get based off of like how good it is. I'm extremely thankful that when I
Mm.
start getting big in like with CEO of Soda, that I was immediately like scooped up and I was able to join like a group of influencers and like some of those influencers, I think there was like 10 of us that they put us in a group because like you've heard like the hype house and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, like it was essentially that. We were literally called the hype with no house. Super fucking embarrassing. But like of those 10-ish people there, two of them are now like legitimately my best friends. Like it would be very weird if I went like a day without talking to them.
Mm.
And like they live like one of them lives in Colorado, the other one lives in Maine. I live in California, by the way. So like they're like not close to me physically by any means. But like I couldn't imagine not talking to them on like at least an every other day basis. It'd be very weird. And I was able to get a lot of other friends who are creators just because of different groups or some random connections. And so having other people who do something very similar to you while not being in your niche, I will emphasize that. Please don't have them be in your niche. It gets into weird, icky competition vibes.
Mm-hmm.
It's really helpful because it helps keep you sane because you can have someone that you can express like your issues, your frustrations with that actively get them and could potentially help. At the very least, could just listen. You don't have to like waste time explaining things to them.
Man, like even reflecting on the amount, like the depth of understanding that you have in the space, like this has been such a cool podcast just to like feel and like kind of extract, a little bit of Glenn's brain. I mean, as we're kind of landing the plane here, like I know you did a lot of prep for this podcast. So are there any other kind of points that you feel like you'd want to emphasize or things that come up for you that you feel like would be really beneficial for people that are listening to this to tap into?
Shoot, okay. What are some things I absolutely would need to say? One, brand deals are absolutely amazing. That's how I make most of my money. Make sure that you read the contracts. Get someone else to read the contracts for you as well. It doesn't matter who it is, just someone who can also read. Make sure there's nothing fishy going on there because they love taking advantage of influencers. It's very scammy and scummy. They've gotten a lot better. I feel like they've gotten a lot better now. It's less of the wild, wild west, but it's not great by any means. Um, and like you're worth a lot more. You're worth a lot more than you think you are, and you're worth a lot more than these companies will say you are. So I don't know if you're like in the early stages, you're starting to get brand deals. Be very
You
careful.
think that's on purpose? They do that on purpose. So
Be multi-platform.
yeah,
You're not going to survive on the internet if you're only on one
yeah.
platform. You gotta be all over the place. I feel like that's pretty obvious. Um, Emphasis on content that can unfortunately but
Mhm.
easily be posted on multiple different platforms. So like YouTube
Ah, that
Shorts,
makes sense. Yeah,
Instagram Reels, and TikTok all use basically the same aspect ratio, and it's really easy to
yeah.
cross post the same content. Obviously, a lot of people know that, but just in case. Um, it's not. I mean, it's easy because it's the phone. Like they're not really messing with things too much. Yeah, I think it's more the phone made it easy because like a phone has a pretty standard shape to have that aspect ratio than it was these apps specifically thinking about that. It was just convenience on their part. Why try to reinvent the wheel if you don't have to?
Right.
Um, oh, this is the most important one. If you're on the internet and you are at all conventionally attractive, get a hobby. Literally do anything because from my experience and from everyone else's
I'll just
experience,
pick up kayaking and
there
I'll
is
see y'all in a
nothing that
couple years
people
then.
want to see on the internet more than a hot person literally be good at absolutely. It doesn't matter. It could be let me think of something really random. It could be rowboating. If you are hot and you rowboat, guarantee you within the first month you're going to have at least 2 million followers. It's just how the internet works. If you're hot, get any hobby. I guarantee you, you will never have to worry about whether you're going to make money from social media or not. It's in the bag.
There it
Exactly,
is. I was gonna
yeah.
say it. I'm glad he said it first, buddy. No, that's a really good insight. So like, hey Glenn, if people wanted to plug in with you or have a more intimate experience with the content you're putting out, where can people find you? Or like, what's
thanks,
your
Glenn.
preferred channel for people to connect with you?
You can find me at SirGlenneth anywhere. That's SirGlenneth. On any platform that you could think of, I'm probably there. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. I'm all over the place.
Sick, man. Well, dude, hey, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining us. Stick around for a little bit after we end this. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and show SirGlenneth, the man himself, some love on his platforms. Connect with him, but also connect with us. Like, hey, we really enjoy having a deeper experience with you guys. So please subscribe, especially if you're on Spotify. Like, hey, we can't say it enough. We are really digging, and big shout out to Spotify. Thank you guys for giving us the beta opportunity
At
for
Dylan
putting
Whitten.
video in your platform. So go check us out there, but it really helps the algorithm when you rate our podcast. If you think it's shit, rate it like shit. If you think it's awesome, rate it like it's awesome. And if you're looking at us on Apple or any other platform where you can leave us a comment or any kind of review, that feedback also means the world to us. Again, we're the Professional Hippies. We'll be coming out with more stuff like this. If you guys are digging this, reach out to us on Instagram. I'm at Colton DM. Dylan, where you at? And Glenn, where you guys at?
And at SirGlenneth.
Cool. Drop us a comment or a DM there. Let us know what you're loving about this and let us know how we could improve, because your feedback is ultimately the reason why we do this. So we'll catch you guys next week, and love you guys.